Many of us are familiar with the golden rule. What we may not be as familiar with is the context in which Jesus makes this statement in the Sermon on the Mount. In Matthew chapter 7 and verse 12, Jesus says, "In everything, therefore, treat people the same way you want them to treat you, for this is the law and the prophets." You notice that word, therefore. Here, Jesus is building on everything else that he said within the Sermon on the Mount. And he says, this is the law and the prophets. You remember early on in this sermon, Jesus said he didn't come to abolish, but to fulfill the law and the prophets. And so everything that he's been discussing about loving our enemies, being merciful and not judgmental, reconciling with those that we've wronged, not harboring lust in our hearts, or doing our good deeds to be seen by men, all comes back to this foundational principle of treating others the same way we want them to treat us. But how exactly do we do that? If I want to treat my wife the way I would want her to treat me, does that mean buying her a circular saw for her birthday? Because that's what I would like. Well, no, of course not. It doesn't mean putting her in my shoes. It means putting myself in her shoes. If we want to grow in developing the kind of heart that Jesus has been talking about throughout the Sermon on the Mount, it comes back to this foundational principle, to think more about others and less about ourselves.